This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network.
Did you know that every word you speak matters? Are your conversations making a difference? With a passion for words and a heart for conversation, Teresa Velardi is a self-professed word nerd, best-selling author, BizCat 360 columnist, and publisher. Children's books as well as fiction and nonfiction books are welcomed at We Be Books Publishing and Book Endeavors, the imprints of her company, Authentic Endeavors Publishing. Whether written or spoken, Teresa strives to encourage and inspire meaningful conversations that make a difference. Here's the host of Conversations That Make a Difference, Teresa Velardi.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Conversations That Make a Difference. I'm excited to bring you a conversation today that is going to help a multitude of people. And I'm happy to welcome Dr. Nina Savelle-Rocklin. And we're going to be talking about the binge cure, 7 steps to outsmart emotional eating. I don't know if anybody else needs this, but I do. I'm first to raise my hand in that class. Before we get started, we always start with a prayer. And before I introduce Dr. Nina, let's just say the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I'd also like to say that it is by God's grace that we are fabulous, blessed, and highly favored, living in our greatness, using our gifts and talents to make a difference in the lives of others with passion and purpose. And all of God's great universe is conspiring in our favor. And we gratefully say, amen.
Amen.
So I just want to let everybody know also that Conversations That Make a Difference airs live at the first and third Tuesday of the month and can be heard on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network every Tuesday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. And you can call in on the shows, or you can watch us on YouTube, and you can listen to us in your car and the variety of apps that are out there, including Alexa. You can ask her. Call Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. So because I want to really get this information right, I'm going to read your bio, and I'm going a little bit about what we are going to talk about. So Dr. Nina is going to share 5 proven strategies that go far beyond dieting, self-discipline. Instead, she's guide you through the process of emotional gardening. I love that phrase. Getting to the root of the cause hidden below the surface. With warmth, expertise, and real-life wisdom, Dr. Nina will help you recognize and address the real reasons behind binge eating so you can create lasting freedom and finally reclaim your life. Discover the practical steps that Dr. Nina has used with countless clients and in her own life to break the cycle of binge eating for good. Learn why food is never the real problem, and how to identify the emotional triggers that sabotage your peace, and walk away with actionable tools to nurture healing from the inside out. So what about this woman qualifies her? Well, this bio is quite extensive, so I want to make sure that I get everything in. Dr. Nina's personal history fuels her passion for helping others. She once considered herself the poster child for eating disorders. After struggling for 15 years, she went to therapy for anxiety. She never disclosed her disordered eating to her therapist, yet she left therapy completely healed from all eating disorders. How is this possible? Food was never the problem. It was a negative solution to the problem. She became a psychotherapist because she wanted to help other people liberate themselves and find peace. Isn't that something we all long for? Peace? Yes. And Dr. Nina knows that our hidden emotions and conflicts have power over us. She believes in emotional gardening to get to the root of why we're stuck. Just as we cannot see a root, but it grows the weeds. And the weeds that are hidden thoughts, which lead to the behaviors that cause pain. By digging deep, we get rid of the emotional roots and create lasting freedom. She's on the board of the Rose City Center, a psychoanalytical, informed, flexible, free counseling and training center where she is the director of the development committee. The center's mission is to provide psychotherapy services to underserved communities throughout California, where she lives on the West Coast in California. As a mother of two daughters, one biological and one adopted from China, she advocates adoption and believes that love is born in the heart. She and her family sponsor 3 children through Love Without Boundaries. Her special needs deaf Great Dane named Zane is also a member of the family. I love that, but that's a tongue twister. And the ASPCA is another favorite charity. When she's not treating patients or coaching clients, you can find her hugging trees in her backyard, weight training, or watching romantic comedies with her family. And to learn everything you need to know about Dr. Nina, besides coming here to listen to this, you can go to drninainc.com. Welcome, Dr. Nina.
Great to be here. Thank you for having me, Teresa.
I'm so excited to have you here because I think there are many, many people, and I said earlier, myself included, who struggle with food and running to food to cure what we think is the problem, try and cure what we think is the problem, and it only makes the problem worse. So I think that we are about to have an incredible conversation. The first thing I want to know is, what's your personal story that brought you to come to do this work?
Well, as you started to share in my bio, I struggled for many years. In fact, when I was a brand new therapist and I was about to start my very first group for women who struggled with binge eating disorder, the first day I walked in and these women looked at me, and one of them, she was kind of scary looking. She had like big bright red hair and big jewelry. Like you could just see her, right? And she looks me up and down and she says, "So what does a skinny thing like you know about binge eating?" Only she didn't say thing. Use your imagination. So I said, what she didn't know was as you said earlier, I once considered myself the poster child for eating disorders. But what I said was, this skinny thing once scarfed down an entire box of gingerbread cookies in about 15 minutes flat. And I hate gingerbread. I hate gingerbread. I don't know why. Just can't stand it. But I couldn't stop eating those cookies. And I told the group that when I was 5 years old, I came to believe that I was too big and I was a perfectly normal weight child. But I got the idea that if I were thinner, I would somehow be better. And this, at the age of 5, was the beginning of my obsession with weight and with food. And when I look at my teenage journals, every page is filled with numbers. It was, calories I ate, calories I burned, the weight I was, the weight I was going to be one day. And I was always on some crazy restrictive diet. Eventually, of course, my willpower would fail and I'd eat the kitchen. And sometimes I would purge. That's why I was the poster child for all eating disorders, because I had all of them. So in college, I finally went to therapy, but I went for anxiety. And I talked with my therapist about all the things, guys and dreams and my family, every part of my life except one thing. I never told her about my relationship with food because I was just too mortified. Like, it was embarrassing. I was absolutely mortified is the only word. Yeah. And so nobody knew the truth. And yet, by the time I left therapy, all of my eating disorder behaviors were gone for good. And not once, not a single time had I ever talked about food. Right. And people say, what? Just like you just said, like, wait, what? Right. And it's because in therapy, I changed my relationship with myself. I turned my inner critic into a friend. I realized how hard I was on myself. I was such a perfectionist. I really changed my relationship with myself by doing a lot of the things that I'm going to talk about today. And in doing so, I didn't need food because food was never the problem. It was the solution to the problem. It seems like the problem, but it is really a coping strategy, a negative solution to the real problem, which is whatever's going on inside that you don't know how to deal with. And by the way, I should add, why at age 5 did I suddenly decide that I was too big when I was not? Well, my parents are retired college professors. They're very intellectual, very quiet. And I, as you can tell, am not. And I always was being told, like, be quiet. You're too loud. You're too emotional. You're too sensitive. You need to calm down. Like, this was the refrain my whole life. And so in my 5-year-old mind, 5-year-olds are very concrete, right? So my 5-year-old mind took the message of you're too much to handle as you're literally too much. And that was the beginning, unbeknownst to myself, of my idea that I was too much, too big. Everything about me was too big, and I needed to change in order to be likable and lovable. But it really speaks, both of these experiences speak to the importance of psychology in understanding what goes on with food. People think it's about food. It's actually not. That's the biggest misperception, the biggest misconception about binge eating or emotional eating, is that it's about willpower or control or addiction. It's not.
Yeah. And that speaks volumes to people who have sought out this diet after that diet, after trying to believe that it's actually, the solution is actually in what you consume so rigidly. Done that, hated it, won the badge for it. It's just interesting how this is so misunderstood, and I know it's misunderstood, and that's one of the many reasons that I'm excited to hear what you have to offer us today. So you clearly have authority in the seat that you sit in based on your own experience alone. So what's the biggest, you just addressed really what the biggest misconception is, but can we get into some of the solutions? But before you answer that, I have experienced this, and then I've let it go, and then I've experienced it again. The nighttime eating. What's the deal with eating before bed? Or some people actually get up and eat during the night. I'm not one of them. Once I fall asleep, I'm out, unless the bladder calls, and then I'm awake, but then I'm right back to sleep again. So
yeah. So you're referring to, you have dinner, you're not hungry, and then after dinner, somehow you start thinking about what's in the kitchen. What about that ice cream in the fridge? Or what about those, whatever's in the pantry? And it's all you can think about, and it like calls your name, and it just is preoccupying. This is something that is the most common thing that I hear, and which I, of course, experience myself too. So during the day, we are busy. We're doing things, we're preoccupied, we're taking care of work, we're taking care of kids, we're doing whatever it is that is occupying our time. And our thoughts are with those things. At night is when we're no longer busy, we don't have any distractions, and certain thoughts, certain feelings might creep in that we do not want to even recognize we have. We want to keep them out of our awareness. But it's out of awareness, but not out of operation. So thinking about food is a way of, or eating is a way of distracting yourself from certain conflicts, certain worries. I should give another example. That same group where the woman said, "What's a skinny thing like you?" No, there was a woman in that group. And the whole time we did the group, where we're looking at emotional gardening, which is, look, you pluck a weed, it's going to grow back. Dieting, focusing on food, it's like plucking a weed. You got to get to the root, which is, I love the analogy because it's underground. We can't see the root, but we know it's there because it creates the weed. And so we got to dig deep. So we were digging deep in this group, and the whole time there was this one woman, and she completely resisted. She said, no, that's not me. I don't have any emotional eating problems. There's nothing bothering me. There's nothing going on. I'm perfectly happy. I would just be happier if I lost this 20 pounds. That is all the problem is. I just love food too much. And as a result, the 20 pounds. And this was every week. No. Well, the last day of the group, she said, so I'm thinking that maybe if I were not thinking about food and if I were not thinking about losing those 20 pounds, I might be thinking about how I want to divorce my husband.
Wow. Huge, huge, huge.
Yes. So by focusing on wanting to lose 20 pounds and, oh my God, I love food too much, she was avoiding the fact that she didn't love her husband and she really wanted to lose him. And that is a very extreme example of how we can distract ourselves from our truth. And really, this work is about finding your truth. And you know what? It is easier to focus on food. It is easier to wake up and say, I will not eat the thing, or I'm addicted to sugar, than it is to say, wow, something's eating at me. Something's weighing on me. It's easier to think about food than it is to think about feelings you don't want to feel and thoughts you don't want to think. And so at night, that's when those feelings and thoughts can creep into our minds. And there's another part of us that goes, not going there. Kitchen, DoorDash, drive-through. And now you're focused on that. And within that, there could be a lot of different reasons. For example, and I'm going to get into this when I talk about the hidden reasons we turn to food. But there's what we're aware of and what we're not aware of. And it's what we're not aware of. Those are the roots that have the most influence over us. So we could be eating to fill a void or people often say, of course I'm addicted to food. I ate so much my stomach hurt and I kept eating. Clearly, I have a problem. And my answer to that is, no, maybe you're turning emotional pain to physical pain. Maybe you don't have a problem. Maybe this is your way of solving your problem that is only hurting you and kind of, disguising the problem. So the idea is to be curious, not critical, but curious about what is your why. That's why I talk about, it's why power. It's not willpower. It's what's your why. There's always a reason. If you're turning to food, you are turning away from something else. There's always, always a reason.
Wow. A mouthful. Like you just said, a mouthful. Be curious rather than critical, and discover why that's happening. And, I want to ask a question about the fact that, a lot of times after you're done with your day, the meal is done, everybody's sitting around, maybe watching TV or whatever. How on earth do they allow nothing but food and pharmaceutical commercials on the television for people who are looking for a solution to a problem like this? They are, I'm sure, triggers for people as well. So I know I get frustrated anytime. I don't watch TV on a regular basis. When I go to bed at night, I turn on the Golden Girls and I'm awake for 10 minutes. I watch it. They watch me the rest of the half hour, whatever. Anyway, so what are some of the hidden reasons that people are eating? How to discover them? How can you discover them? Besides the curiosity factor.
Well, actually, curiosity just makes it so that you're more apt to find the answers. Because when we're critical, we shut down our minds and then we feel bad. And then you can't make yourself feel bad and make yourself feel good at the same time. So you're even more likely to turn to food as a distraction or to cope. So curiosity only gets you so far. But to answer your question, in the first decade that I was in private practice, and I now see people all over the world, both as a psychoanalyst and as a coach, and I developed this food mood formula because I started noticing that what people wanted, what people chose to eat in the moment that they were binging or emotionally eating, what they chose to eat said a lot about their hidden needs, conflicts, feelings, etc. And so I will share my food mood formula so that I can help you as well, everyone who's listening, watching, because it really is a great tool that you can use to figure out your hidden why.
Okay. Yeah. I probably know, I'm anxious to hear more about that, but I probably can tell you that I don't do anger very well. Growing up, it was my dad wanted to see smiling faces and whatnot. And if you had to be angry, or if you needed to cry, go to your room. And when you're done, you can come out, so I was like, what? So I really had to like monitor if and when I displayed any kind of angry emotion or whatever. So when I'm angry, I need something that crunches. I know it. And when I'm feeling like I need to be soothed, smooth things, ice cream, pudding, mashed potatoes. And I'm just like giving examples of things that might come into my mind as to how I'm going to, quote unquote, soothe that emotional beast, if you will. And
well,
is this the kind of thing?
You're right in line with the food mood formula, because often we just are pulled towards food and we don't even know why. And so this formula can help you identify what it is that's going on.
Before you give the formula, we have to step into our first break. So we're just gonna let that happen. And then when we come back, we're gonna hear more about Dr. Nina's food mood formula and continue this conversation that so many people, women especially, need to hear. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Are you one of the many people who said, someday I'll write a book, but don't know how to get started? Many wannabe authors have begun with the same question and are now published by Authentic Endeavors Publishing, a multi-imprint hybrid publishing company. Whether you're writing an autobiography, a memoir, a kingdom book, a children's book, a business book, or an anthology, we have a place for you. Visit www.AuthenticEndeavorsPublishing.com for more information or to set up a 20-minute consultation. Your title of published author is within reach.
Born Able exists to highlight and normalize the humanity, worth, and abilities of infants and children born with complex medical conditions. We write, illustrate, and publish books for these children and have featured over 1,000 children throughout the world. Our videos and posts have been viewed over 100 million times on social media as we strive to showcase these amazingly abled kids and fight relentlessly for equal medical care, regardless of diagnosis. All proceeds from Born Able books go directly to the Born Able Foundation. To nominate a special kid to be featured in a Born Able book, go to www.bornable.org to learn more.
Did you know that every word you speak matters? What you say and how you say it can make or break a relationship or shift the outcome of any situation. Are your conversations making a difference? Faith in God, gratitude, authenticity, and giving are Teresa Velardi's heart. It's in this spirit that she's focused on making a difference in the lives she's blessed to touch. Conversations That Make a Difference is now on syndicated Dream Vision 7 radio network every Tuesday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern Time, with live call-in shows every first and third Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
And we're back with Dr. Nina, and we are just about to learn more about the food mood formula, part of what she teaches, and this is her book. Be sure to get it. The Binge Cure: 7 Steps to Outsmart Emotional Eating. Okay, food mood formula.
Okay, so I actually want to do a little bridge from nighttime eating to the food mood formula by telling you about Jenna, who I do write about in the book, not her real name. But Jenna came to me and said she was a food addict, that she could prove it, that this happened every night, right? And I said, oh, you can prove it. Well, please, I'm all ears. And she told me that the night before, She'd had a perfectly good day at work. Everything was fine. Nothing was bothering her. When suddenly, as she put it, Ben and Jerry's was calling her name. She's like, calling my name. I'm addicted to Chunky Monkey. I said, well, okay, wait, let's just hold on a second. What were you watching on TV before Ben and Jerry's was calling your name? She's like, Charmed, my favorite show. So since she was doing something she loved, there was no reason, or so she thought, that she would want to down a pint of ice cream. What was the episode about? Oh, it's when this demon comes down, breaks the bond between the sisters. They start fighting. It gets really nasty and contentious. And I just said, knowing that Jenna had a bad relationship with her sister, all I said was, sisters fighting, huh? And Jenna gave me one of those Home Alone, she got it. She realized that in that moment, watching the show activated her own feelings about her bad relationship with her sister. But before it could reach conscious awareness, she went to ice cream for comfort and distraction. Again, ice cream was not the problem as she thought it was. It was the solution to the problem, which is that she did not know how to comfort herself. So ice cream, anything smooth and creamy, is associated with a need for comfort. So if ice cream is your thing, think about, how would you comfort someone else, and start comforting yourself in words instead of with food. So that's the first category. The second category, which Teresa, you're way ahead of me, because you said anger was not allowed. So you express it with crunchy foods. And that's exactly right. That anytime we crunch down hard, whether it's crackers or pretzels or chips or whatever, that is associated with feelings of anger. And many times women say, oh, well, I'm not an angry person. I don't do anger. Anger is just a reaction to a situation. And there are many forms of anger: annoyance, irritation, frustration, rage. These are all forms of anger. And unfortunately, women are socialized to not be mad. But guess what? We all have no problem getting mad at ourselves for the number on the scale or the fact that we ate whatever. So that's what I call the boomerang effect. I'm mad at this situation out here. No. Actually, I'm mad at myself. How could I have eaten the thing? Right? So it's about learning to express forms of anger, freely without turning them on yourself. And by the way, when I say express, I don't mean necessarily to the person that's upsetting you. Like, your boss can be on your last nerve, but you're not going to get very far if you say, hey, boss, you're really pissing me off. No, but you have to be able to express that for yourself. I'm upset with my boss because of this. Boss is really pissing me off for this reason. I'm annoyed for this reason. And just express it. The third,
I just want to ask you a question about expressing. How effective is journaling in expression of anger and emotions that you don't want to unload on the person that they're targeted for?
It's very effective, but it only goes so far because it's very one-dimensional. And it's one thing to say, I am very angry, right? That's thinking anger. Expressing it is really, I am so pissed, right? Mm-hmm. The only way to actually get rid of feelings is to feel them. You cannot think them away. So you have to have some sort of, maybe you're not as dramatic as I am, but some kind of, God, that's pissing me off, right? You need to, emotions are called feelings because we feel them in our bodies.
Yes.
We can't think them away. We have to feel them. That's why we cry when we're sad, although not everybody cries when they're sad. And some people cry when they're happy. So, but it's whatever your expression is. So that's a good question. And then a third category is filling. So think about cake, bread, burgers, pasta, pizza, anything that's kind of bulky and takes up space within. That is associated with loneliness or filling a void. And so what you want to do is think about, well, what are the voids in your life? What do you not have enough of? And find new ways to fill those wholes instead of doing so symbolically with food. And then I get asked a lot about chocolate or candy. So first of all, chocolate kind of fits the food mood formula. It's either milk or dark or has nuts. So it's either creamy milk or it's crunchy dark. But if you like candy that's not one of those, maybe you need more sweetness in your life. And I am not talking about the kind of sweetness that comes from sugar, but the sweetness of connection, love, fulfillment, whatever is sweet for you that you may be missing in your life. And so this formula directs you to where you need to put your energy and focus. Okay, I need to learn how to express anger more effectively, or I need to learn ways of comforting myself, or I need to fill those holes, whether it's I don't have enough love, I don't have enough friends, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough fulfillment. And notice our language and our culture, we talk about satisfying meals and satisfying relationships. We talk about being fulfilled, right? Emotionally fulfilled, but we also talk about, oh, that was a fulfilling meal or experience, or that was really, it filled me up, right? So there's so much, even in our language, that connects our yearning and our needs emotionally with food.
Wow. That's so helpful. So what are some of the steps to stop this? And you go over all of these in your book. Yeah. I haven't had a chance to really delve into it yet, but you know where I'm going after this conversation. So
and you could get the accompanying journal too.
Oh, yay.
Yes. Yes. Shameless self-promotion, the journal.
There you go. There you go.
Okay, so the first thing that you have to do is stop dieting, which is very hard for people. Diets are about deprivation or the anticipation of deprivation, which always makes us want something more. When we tell ourselves we can't have something, we want it. And eventually we just have a bunch of it. And that's why diets lead to binging. The diet binge cycle is there because of deprivation. You think you can't have something, you want it more. There was a study that set out some years ago to prove the existence of food addiction. And what they did was they gathered, the participants were all people who were dieters, people struggling with emotional eating. And they said, okay, whatever your forbidden food is, we want you to eat it. And the theory was, well, they're just addicted. Their brains are addicted, and they're going to start eating this forbidden food, whatever it is, and they're just not going to be able to stop. Guess what happened? The people ate less because when they had permission, they could just go, yeah, I'm good. I've had enough. When they had deprivation, we want what we can't have. And then we have that sort of Last Supper mentality. Oh, let me have all the things I can't have now because Monday I'm going on the diet.
What is it about Monday?
Or tomorrow, or whatever it is. Yeah.
Whatever it is today. Okay. When I said Monday, I immediately heard the mamas and the papas. Monday, can't trust that day. Right?
That's right. Yes. So it's really important to stop dieting because dieting keeps you focused on food. Dieting cannot help you understand yourself.
Yeah.
And then, it's important to crack the code of emotional eating, which is what I helped you do with the food mood formula. Then you identify, well, what is it that is the real problem? What is the root? What is it that you can't see because you're so busy looking at the weed? Oh, it's some kind of sadness or regret or loss or frustration or what have you. The next step is to express it. And yes, journaling is important. I created this guided journal because a lot of times people will look at a page and they just won't know what to do, or they don't want to get in touch with their feelings, which is the reason they're turning to food is because they don't want to get in touch with what they're feeling. This is why meditation does not work for people who struggle. For most people, every time I say this, I hear from someone who's like, well, it works for me. But for 99.9% of people, meditation does not work because it puts you in your mind. And eating and thinking about food and all the food noise and all that, it takes you away from your mind. That's its purpose. So really focusing on, and I do a lot in the book where I give you things to actually do, not just think about, expressing it and expressing with affect, right? And to say not only, oh, I feel this, but I feel this because of that. You know, I'm upset at this person because they hurt me or upset me in this way. Like to really have a whole, not just a feeling, but the story behind the feeling, because feelings are the result of thoughts. Thoughts lead to feelings, lead to behavior. That's why focusing on behavior never works for long. You have to get to the thought that leads to the behavior. So if you're feeling sad, well, why am I sad? I'm sad. I need comfort because I'm sad. But why am I sad? I'm sad because I don't have this or this happened. You know, so that you really start connecting those dots. Yeah. So identify. So stop and think. Don't diet. Identify with the food mood formula. Express. And I in the book I give you prompts in which you can express what you're feeling, and you could write a whole page or write a whole sentence. It really doesn't matter. It's just about getting it out. Right. And then here is the most important part. Respond to yourself differently. It is not enough to say, oh, I'm upset because of this. If a friend of yours said, I'm upset because of this, you wouldn't just look at them and go, you'd respond. The problem is we often forget to respond to ourselves, or when we need care, when we need understanding, when we need support from ourselves, we attack ourselves.
Yeah. So bizarre.
Well, often we treat ourselves as we were treated. So if you were told as a child, take those feelings into your room and only come out when they're gone because I have no interest in your feelings, they make me uncomfortable, then you're going to do the same thing to yourself. Yeah. Another quick story. So several years ago, I was at the park with my daughter who was playing with her friends, and there were these two little toddlers, little boy and little girl, and they're playing and they're digging in the sand and they're laughing and they're having a great time. All of a sudden, little boy gets up and toddles off, runs off with the shovel. So what does the little girl do? She starts crying, because that's what we do when the little boy leaves. So she starts crying at any age, right? Well, at any age. So the mom comes running up. She's got her diaper bag on, and she's like, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. And the kid is crying because her buddy just left and took her shovel. But mom's like, don't cry, really anxious. And she's like, here, have a cookie.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
It took
eat this, you feel better. Yeah. The eat this, you feel better stuff is dangerous.
And I wanted to say, lady, way to give yourself, way to give your child an eating disorder, because binge eating disorder is the biggest, most prevalent eating disorder, by the way, that most people don't know they have. One day that girl is going to grow up and she's going to, some boy is going to treat her badly, and she's going to be like, don't cry. Where's the cookies? We learn to treat ourselves as we were treated. But you know what? We often don't treat other people that way. Like if your friend is upset, how many times have you said to your friend, oh, you're upset about the boy left you? Here, the ice cream's in the freezer. Let's order pizza. I got chips in the pantry. We don't do that. We actually respond to our friends.
Yes.
And we need to learn to do that to ourselves. And one very important way that you can start to talk to yourself differently is the pronoun you use. Like, we're all about pronouns in our culture right now. Pronouns are a thing. So I'm not talking about those kind of pronouns. I'm talking about this. I'm talking about, okay, I'm going to share a story because that's the best way I know.
Hold the story. Hold the
Okay.
story. Don't
I'll
lose
hold
your
the story.
place.
Okay.
We're going to come right back. We're going to come right back after this message. And we'll be right back with Dr. Nina as soon as we finish the break.
Do you have an uplifting personal story to share? The Daily Gift Book series began with a daily gift of gratitude and a daily gift of hope, both available on Amazon. We're looking for people like you to share a story in our continuing series. Kindness, peace, inspiration, and generosity are just a few of the upcoming topics in the Daily Gift Book series. Your stories matter, and they make a difference. Visit www.dailygiftbookseries.com to find out more on how to submit your story for one of the upcoming titles.
With the hustle and bustle of today's world, how often do you practice gratitude? How can you make it a habit? Gratitude is more than putting a smile on your face and being thankful for the roof over your head. It's expanding your perception and finding gratitude for every opportunity and every challenge. Gratitude is a feeling of connection to things higher than yourself, to God, and to others. We focus on light, positivity, and connections. When we join our grateful hearts together, the power of community attracts more people and even more to be grateful for while making a difference. A grateful heart is infectious. Share it. Join our Grateful Hearts community on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/The Grateful Hearts Community and watch your blessings blossom.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
And we're back. And I just want to say, I want to just present the Daily Gift series. With Daily Gift of Gratitude was the first, Daily Gift of Gratitude. We have Daily Gift of Kindness. These are all available on Amazon. And now we're looking for stories for a Daily Gift of Peace. And if you have someone in your family, you or a friend or anyone who has had to walk through the journey of cancer, whether it was personal or in support of someone else, we're looking for stories for a special issue of Daily Gift Book series for peace through the journey through cancer. And then we also have a Daily Gift of Friendship, and all of those are coming up, and you can see more about them on Facebook and on the dailygiftbookseries.com. So now back to the information at hand. We're talking about some steps to stop emotional eating, and you were about to tell us a story when we went to break.
Yes, I was talking about activating and cultivating self-love, how to respond to yourself in a kind way. And sometimes we don't know how to do it. That's why food does the trick. So I was going to say that one of my clients, every day she would wake up, she would go to the bathroom, look in the mirror, and say to her reflection, "You're disgusting."
Oh my Lord.
Now, notice the pronoun, "you're disgusting," to herself. So I said to her, I want you to repeat that from an I place, from a first person place. Like, don't say you're disgusting. Who's talking? To yourself. Mm-hmm. I am disgusting. And she's like, she couldn't do it. And that's exactly right, because it's a lot harder to be mean to ourselves when we talk to ourselves from a first person perspective. So one thing that I find a lot, not everybody, but a lot of people speak harshly to themselves in that second person voice. And it's really, really important to not do that. Because if you say like, well, you're not good enough, you're going to fail, they don't like you, that's just going to make you feel bad. You can't make yourself feel bad. Like I said earlier, you can't make yourself feel bad, can't tear yourself down and simultaneously lift yourself up. You just feel bad, and then you're going to go to the kitchen. So instead it's, hey, I'm doing the best I can. I like me. I'm perfectly imperfect. I like me, right? Mm-hmm. Coming from that place of being supportive, not perfectionistic, but really showing up for yourself in a compassionate, loving way. Now, had that child's mother come up and said, of course you're crying. Your little friend just left with the shovel. That made you sad. Of course you're crying. You're sad right now. Let me give you a hug. You're going to feel better soon. Instead of being, told, just stop crying, stop crying. And so really looking at, how do you talk to yourself? Are you that supportive person to yourself? Do you get anxious and give yourself a cookie? Do you dismiss yourself by saying, oh, it's not that bad. It could be worse. Do you get mad at yourself? What's wrong with you? These are all ways that people talk to themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love what you said. I love what you said about the, instead of saying you in the mirror, you say I. And I remember I was listening to someone, I think it was Joel Osteen, who said this: whatever follows I am will find you. So you have to be careful with your I am statements as well. You make sure you say positive things about yourself, instead of going down the road of trashing yourself, whether it's in the mirror or on paper or in your brain, right? So, oh my goodness, what else you got? Oh, and by the way, I just want to tell you that the illustration with the cookie with that little girl, I grew up in an Italian household, and I had my grandmother lived next door, my aunt lived around the block, and the phrase of the day was, here, eat this, you'll feel better.
Well,
so I did.
Yes, that's exactly. I had a Jewish grandmother, right? And it was, here, eat this, you'll feel better. I mean, that's just the conditioning. And so that conditioning shows up. Oh, I feel bad. Let me eat something. I'll feel better. Only it's an illusion.
Exactly.
So,
right.
So if you wouldn't say something to a friend or someone, a child or someone you love, don't say it to yourself.
Exactly.
If your friend said, oh my God, I just had a really bad night and I ate an entire pizza, you wouldn't say to your friend, oh my God, you are disgusting. How could you have eaten the entire pizza? What's wrong with you? I don't even think I like you anymore. No, you'd say, okay, maybe something was going on, or were you really hungry? Or like, let's understand your why. You would not be to your friend as you are to you. Most people can relate to that. And so what you want to do is, there's the expression, do unto others as you do to yourself. No, do to yourself as you do unto others.
Yeah, exactly. It's backwards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The other thing to do is to really disrupt this idea of food guilt. Food guilt. There are no food crimes. As far as I know, nobody has gone to jail for eating too much cake.
No.
And yet, what do? I was just in a restaurant the other day, and I heard this woman say, oh my God, I was so bad last night. I'm gonna have a salad. Like, I was so bad. I don't know what she had. Like, let's pretend it was ice cream or something. Really? Because that's good food, bad food, which turns into good me, bad me, and separates yourself. This is also back to why dieting is a bad idea. It separates yourself from your ability to eat intuitively. And when we feel bad, like we were bad because we ate something, we feel bad about ourselves. Our minds kind of intellectually tell the difference, but the way we feel, that we feel bad. Oh, I was so bad. I ate that. We ought not to feel good about ourselves because we abstained from cake or ate a salad. And we ought not to feel bad about ourselves because we ate carbs. So really challenging this notion of good food, bad food, which is black and white thinking. I only have one food rule. You want to know what it is?
Yes.
It has to be yummy. That is my one food rule, because otherwise you're going to end up eating the thing you think you're supposed to eat to be good, when really you want the thing that you think is bad, and you're going to just end up eating the bad thing. Then deprivation or guilt is going to make you have even more, and then you're going to feel worse about yourself. Then you're going to say, I already had the bad thing. I might as well have more bad things. I might as well have, the day is blown. I might as well have all the bad things. And now you're full on binging,
Right.
not out of maybe emotional reasons, but out of deprivation and guilt and shame. So guilt is, I feel bad that I ate the bad thing. I feel bad that I ate the cookies. Shame is, and shame is more common. Shame is, I feel bad about myself that I ate the cookies. What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
And if you abide by my rule, which is it has to be yummy, you're more likely to eat intuitively, to eat foods that are both healthy and satisfying, and to not give yourself deprivation and end up coping with food, binging, or any of those things out of a sense of deprivation.
And it sets up a vicious cycle, and it just keeps going around and around, and you can't. It's like the merry-go-round that you can't get off of.
And shame is feeling bad about yourself, right? Mm-hmm. I feel bad about me. And that's really hard to be with. How can you be with a place of there's something wrong with me? Yeah. Food takes you away from that voice. It silences that mean, shaming voice until you're done. And then it comes back with a vengeance. And so really challenging this idea that there's almost morality in food choices, that you're doing something wrong if you have this and right if you have that. And listening to, what is my body hungry for? I should say intuitive eating is really only possible once you do the work of understanding psychologically why you're turning to food and learning new ways of coping and all of that, being able to identify, express, and respond to yourself in a different way. Then you can start to think, wait a minute, how hungry am I? What am I feeling for? What do I want? I once, when I had my LA Talk radio show, this woman called and she said, nothing was bothering me whatsoever, but I went to this restaurant and I just could not stop eating. And then I took it home and I ate it all. She's like, really, nothing was bothering me. And she was right. Nothing was bothering her, but she'd been dieting and living on like broiled chicken and steamed broccoli and carrots for, I don't know, a month. And the restaurant she went to was a Greek restaurant. It was yummy. It was full of flavor. And so she was so deprived of flavor that she just couldn't stop eating that Greek food. Don't deprive yourself of flavor.
Totally get it. Totally get it. Oh my goodness. There's so much information here. I'm like, I want to talk to you forever. So, so I have a question. I always have questions. A lot of people, myself included, have been successful in losing weight and transforming their body. Not that this is anything about losing weight. This is a whole different conversation. But in desperation, go to 12-step programs. Okay. I'm so glad you reacted that way. I am so glad you reacted that way. Because you know what? I just want to give you a little bit. Yeah. And then I want to hear what you say. I was in the 12-step program. I lost a tremendous amount of weight. I was feeling good. I was getting up in the morning every day, had a routine, and I was feeling good about myself. Then I had 2 losses in my life that were terrible losses. And what happened? I went to foods that comfort me. Chocolate pudding, ice cream, all those smooth things that you were just talking about, that we talked about a little bit earlier. Give me your opinion on how that sets you up. Well, I want you to give me your opinion on that, period.
Well, I can tell you this. In my nude podcast that I do with Dr. Aliza Carmel, we have an episode that we just recorded, and it is literally titled OA is Evil.
Oh.
And that might sound very intense, but I do think that any program that presents itself as a helpful resource for people, but ends up not helping them, shaming them, making them feel bad about their food choices, and ultimately just focusing on the weed instead of the root, I think that is an an evil concept. So yes, we chose a deliberately provocative title. I think 12 steps might work with people with substance abuse, but food is not a substance that you are abusing. It is just food, and it if you're using it in a certain way, it's not because you're addicted. It's a coping strategy. And when you have to say, I am Nina and I am a compulsive overeater, that's your identity. This is not your identity. This is not your identity. This is, I have to draw. Can I draw something? Yes. I'm going to say what I'm drawing. So for anyone who's listening, it's not your identity. So I'm drawing here 2 perfectly imperfect circles, and we're all perfectly imperfect. When you say it's my identity, it's like this yuck in the middle of the circle. It's you and you're it, and that's horrible. Instead, so I'm going to cross that out. Instead, here's another perfectly imperfect circle. You are perfectly imperfect. This is something that you are struggling with. It is not your identity. Right. And it is a coping strategy that you learned for a reason. By the way, why food? Our very first experience of being in relationship with someone is when we're infants and we're held and we're safe and we're cozy and all is right with the world. And that experience is bound up with the feeling of the experience of being fed. So on some level in our psyche, food equals not just love, but relationship. And if people can be unavailable or unreliable or unpredictable, often we turn to food, which is reliable, available, and predictable. So OA does not teach any of these things. OA tells you, shame on you. There's something wrong with what you're doing. And then it promotes diet culture. Don't eat this. That's not the way you change your relationship with yourself. You know what I find is that without even focusing on weight, when people look at what's weighing on them in a different way and work through what's eating at them, they actually do lose weight naturally without trying, because you're making the change in the root. You get rid of the weed. Yeah.
There was a book years ago called It's Not What You're Eating, It's What's Eating You. Do you know that book? I can't remember who authored it, but that's exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, I was told about that book after I started using that expression. It's not what you're eating that's the problem. It's what's eating at you. And
exactly. I can't believe that our hour is gone already. Do you believe this? It's just flown by. Dr. Nina, we're going to have you back again. We're going to have you back. I would love to get more information to our listeners and for myself on what is the best thing for people to do to get started on this particular. I would say it's buy the book. And I know that you have online groups. Yes. And the journal. Yes. And the journal.
Yes, I have. Well, I see people one-on-one in programs, and I'm starting a group later this year, and the Binge Cure Accelerator program. And I just want anyone who's hearing this to know it doesn't matter how long you have struggled. I mostly see people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, even 70s who've struggled for decades, and they come in saying, what do you mean I'm going to feel better? I've struggled for decades. And you know what? In 12 weeks or sometimes a little more, it's in their rearview mirror. There is hope.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. I hate the fact that we have to go, but I'm so grateful for you. Go to drninainc.com, drninainc.com. Find out more. Dr. Nina, thank you so much. And for everyone who's listening, make sure the conversations that you are having, not only with others, but with yourself, are making a difference in your world. We'll see you next time. Have a great day, everyone.
Tune in next time for Conversations That Make a Difference with host Teresa Velardi every Tuesday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern, with live call-in shows every first and third Tuesday on syndicated Dream Vision 7 radio network. Thank you for listening. And thank you to our station owner, Deborah Beauvais, working behind the scenes. Be sure to go to conversationsthatmakeadifference.com for your free gift. Make sure your conversations make a difference.